Now, I spent over 400 hours transforming my ugliest apartment building into a modern high-rise apartment that surpasses my vision for the future of my downtown. Now, I have 3 goals for this modern building. Is 1. To provide outdoor space and nature, and 2. Have setbacks and angles, and I will explain more later on, and 3. Most importantly, to have interior. Hello my comrades, my name is Easy and welcome to my city block by block series in New Voxton. Now let's conquer and build, comrades. About 2 years ago, I created a video, and at the time, I was really proud of it because I received some help on building a mid-rise, and I felt happy as I was trying to build a modern mid-rise building. And for a quick summary on what those are, for those who don't know, a mid-rise refers to a building type that occupies the middle ground between low-density structures such as those found in suburbs and high-density buildings like skyscrapers. But I don't think I said that correctly, so here's a quick description from Google. But anyways, and since then, I have a better understanding of how they are designed, and I do plan to build more in the city of New Voxton. And since my recent video, there was one comment that had an idea that I should keep it and instead move the building somewhere else, just in case anything went wrong. So I thank you for that person for that idea. Now, you may wonder why I want this building gone and might say there's nothing wrong with it. However, I see many issues that need addressing. As such, the exterior is terrible. Although it's not awful, it could look so much better if I had designed and planned it better back then as I do now. And honestly, it's crazy how your builds can become outdated when looking back. And after a year or more of building that skill level, it really shows how much progress you really made over the years. And you will see in this video how I improved and overcame my fear of building things like this. However, I really want to build these type of buildings, like the ones you will see all over the US and Canada, and of course the rest of the world. But I'm talking about the ones that look like this. And most of my inspiration from these structures are generally from Seattle because it's so common to see these modern mid-rises which look like this. For example, one day I will try to visit and I'm going to spend all week enjoying every minute of it. I'm going everywhere, mostly downtown, although I would love to see the waterfront though. It's amazing. But anyway, back on topic. I want to transform it into a modern size condo that will reach around 170 in height. That's why I marked it at pink wool. And also, I already laid out the plans of what the building would look like. The new building will have the same layout as the previous building, finally having setbacks as you will see later on, while having outdoor plazas on each roof, and most importantly, having the main tower out of glass, giving the modern look. And of course, I will have interior, which is going to be a pain to do with interior, but I'll go try my best to get as much rooms inside as much as possible. So let me go over the layout for you guys. So this part here is the, let's say like a 3 or 4 stories high, and then this is the main tower of the building. Will be reaching to that pink wall, which will top it to make it fully complete. Although I am debating on if I should make it at angle as well, but I think about it later on. And then the purple wall will be where small trees and bushes will be. And then over here, it's just gonna be like a 1 or 2 stories extension of the main tower. And this will be a medium-sized tower as well. I think about like 20 stories or 30 stories lower than the main tower. And this back part here will be 2 stories higher than this one in the gray wall, and on top of that it will be an additional park or plaza on top of that. Hopefully this goes well. I already marked out where the elevators will be. That's why there's markings right over here. Pink wall too, so it barely fits. This is going to be another green space over here. It might be too small for the one I had already sketched it out. However though, I think I could still make it work though. And so this might be one of the best designs I have ever made. But let's see about that though. I think we should get started, shall we? Alright, so I got a lot done sketching wise, and you can see what I mean by each level of every different type of wall, and knowing this is actually the good height for the main tower and mid-sized tower too, and for the back and the gray wall as well. And I made this the bottom part 4 levels, and of course I had to increase it, so it's not that bad, 8 blocks, so that's good enough, but not bad at all. Like, and you can see all the different angles. It opens up so much more. I just love that. Probably why I love San Francisco. And after a couple of visits to the city, I found downtown to be among my favorite areas to go. This inspires me to recreate a similar vibe for my own downtown and city. And here's some pictures I taken during my visits, and that's why I want for my city to have more open areas but have good views of buildings such as this building, which I made in the last video. Definitely check that out. And this opens up so much more over here too, and over here. So now we got 2 different angle buildings facing each other, while this area is squared off, if that makes sense. This is why I don't do a lot of angle buildings, because this is such a headache. I hate it, but it's for the city and for you guys, and also for me to build my skill level, so it's gonna be worth it. Since my last recording, a nightmare, because I had to pretty much design each individual hotel and the layout for the hallways. It was just a pain, okay? I spent a couple of days working on it, thinking of plans, and to a point where I was asking my other builders for help, but apparently they are busy, so I just did it by myself, and it worked out pretty well, and I done a lot of interior work. So this is an example of where good planning really does come into play, because if you don't, it's going to look messy and it's not going to work out well. I could have designed a lot better actually, but since how the building is, up to a point where I had to look up images on Pinterest to find the best layout, and that really helped me out. So when you are building a residential structure like hotels, apartments, complexes, condos, modern, old, etc., what do they all have in common? Well, most, if not all, of them are in the basic shapes, squares and rectangles. And you might be saying that it's boring, and I do agree it is, and might be saying that I wanted to design something really cool, unique. Okay, whoa there buddy, slow down. I understand where you're coming from, and that's okay because it's your choice. But if you are planning to do interior like I am, then it's not going to be easy for you, especially if you are really new at it. And by going through the experience of building this, the basic shapes will be a blessing to you. It will make things so much easier, and you can always go back to deleting or adding unique shapes to make it more complex, if that makes sense. It's why it took so long for me to figure it out. So to make more sense, I'm going to draw it out so you guys can get the visual version of it, and hopefully it helps. To start, I went for an H shape, as it is simple to understand and build. And then next I made the hallways inside the shape in the middle, while having the horizontal part or the middle be the center point of where you will have your elevators, stair, exits, etc. Next I made sections of where each apartment room will be. Just remember it's an example, nothing too serious, guys. Now once you have planned out all the rooms, if you want to, it is optional, you can add some balconies depending on the design you are going for, and look at some references to help you too. The final piece is having outdoor space. It is also optional, but this is better than just having concrete. You could just save that for the top of your building. Now where the bottom center, as you will see here, I have my grass as the center area, surrounded by yellow, which is my path, and around the path it will be where the trees, bushes, and whatnot will be. And that's how you build your layout for your apartment building, or just look up some references too, that works. Now if you're doing single bedrooms, make sure they have windows, because if you don't, then it's going to be depressing and much worse for the person or tenant. Remember, residential buildings are not prisons. Don't do it. That's why you see plenty of buildings that look like this for a damn reason. Also, I think they did an experiment in 2019 of windowless rooms, and it did not go well. So I was trying to not to repeat that. Now, of course, these rooms are a bit bigger because I was going to assume they go like condos. Also, I found out there isn't really a lot of videos on this topic, and I don't know why. So I'm just making this video not only for me, but for you guys too, because at the end of the day, we all want to become better builders. So why not make this video a teachable lesson that we could all learn from? And also trying to improve myself in my videos too, so there's that. But also, I know that building interiors suck, and I agree, which is why I don't do them that often, besides having them in offices, because that's easy to do. But it's important if you want a realistic city, of course, and especially if you're building modern residential buildings, it's essentially important to have interior, and that's what I'm going to do for now on after this, even though it sucks, but you know, it's kind of worth it though. Also, I want to mention that I use the loom blocks as air vents or air conditioning vents, wherever you call them, like in most buildings, especially for residential complexes. Although that wasn't the case for me. This was when I went to San Francisco for the first time by myself and actually stayed in my first hotel. Now, the funny thing is, the room I stayed in didn't have any, because that one night it was warm, I couldn't go to sleep at all, and I was sweating walking around in San Francisco. So I got up from my bed and then tried to find the thermostat for my room, or in my room, so I wouldn't be so hot, so I could go back to bed. Well, spoiler alert, there wasn't freaking any. Like, damn, I didn't even know after spending 2 days in that hotel there wasn't gonna be any. And I don't think they even, or maybe I should have checked on Airbnb of the description, but that was all my fault. But still, like what the hell. But I realized that I remember watching a video about that topic a while back. Maybe you guys who do live in San Francisco can tell me in the comment section if that's true or not. And the funny part was, one of those days I was super cold trying to keep warm. So the climate in San Francisco is so freaking weird. I don't know, but it's really refreshing compared to living in the valley. It's basically heaven in the Bay, for me at least. So you guys are freaking lucky, just to tell you that do live in the Bay Area. I know Oakland gets pretty hot, and so does San Jose, around those areas, but still, you guys are still freaking lucky, so I don't want to hear no complaints from you guys. But anyways, although that might be changing because thanks to climate change, it's gonna get worse and much harder in the coming years ahead. But anyways though, I'm so sorry about my long rant and my experience in San Francisco. It's a wonderful city and I highly recommend it. And starting next year, in the time I am editing this video, I'm going back there and possibly make it my tradition to go back every year. Possibly switch it up, maybe Sacramento one of these years, but we'll see. Now, the amount of work I put into this building took me so long to get to this stage, especially how exhausting doing the interior. I had to resize the rooms so many times, it was not fun. But I was so excited when completing the roof, I also made a few changes to it. If you guys do remember the pink wool I laid in the beginning of the video or showed you, I completely forgot about the stairway exit when making the actual tower, and apparently it was on the wrong side. Like, damn, really? But ended up making it work the best way I could and still turned out great. But then I have been trying to figure out how the hell can I make a glass residential facade that will work in Minecraft. Of course, many of you would be thinking that they are the same as skyscrapers, and you might be half right, but can you tell me how the hell can I make this from reference? Bruh, like, I had no idea, and I was searching on Pinterest of Minecraft images of residential buildings. Didn't help. I was looking on YouTube. Didn't help either. So I was stuck for a while. Then I just decided, you know what, I just gonna learn it myself. It took a while, actually. Like, the first attempt, I was placing iron trap doors in between the glass pane, and I didn't like the look of it. Sort of reminded me of my past builds way too much. So I came up with another idea, and that idea you will see later, since I am not good at explaining things, and it will be better for those who are more visual with things like this. So I replaced all the light blue stained glass with light gray stained glass, as they are the actual windows and not the glass panels, if that makes sense. Although not the best design I have made, I'm sure there are better ways to make this glass facade. It's the only idea that actually worked and looks good. At least it's better than my first attempt, so I call it a success. Another thing I want to mention is that for the other roofs, I sketched plans for each of them and planned out every single plant, tree, bush, etc. It took a while, but it was completely worth it. And one of them was completely unplanned and turned out the best design I have ever made in a long while. So I hope you enjoy the outcome of them. And one more thing, if you stick to the end, I will turn on my shaders and we can check how it came out, because I did something that I usually never do for a build, but thought it was needed to add a touch of realism. Well, it's finally finished. After a week or so, it's finally done, and I have to say, this is one of my bestest builds ever for now. With interior, which is the craziest part because you don't know how long that took me to do in each level, especially up here. So I'm gonna give you a small brief tour of this building, and hopefully you guys like it and gain some inspiration and see what you guys do for your own builds. So what I'm gonna do first is tour up here, and you guys will know when you watch through the beginning of the video that this part here was going to be a little different, but I knew that it was going to be a little bit smaller than compared to the drawing I made. So I had to get a little bit creative about it and sketch out where all the plants will be in their own spots. So we have this little out deck here with some Japanese maple trees and a myrtle crepe tree and some John Stewart ground floor plants, which I will post it in a bit, and some more furniture here and some lilies in front of the boxwood. And these were supposed to be, see, I can't really remember, but if I do remember, then I will post it what they're supposed to be. And then some more ice plants and then some more ground floor plants matching with the flowering quince as they're supposed to be, just imagining the berries being the flowers themselves blooming. And the ground floor is supposed to be our carrots, so using some inspiration. And then some more more furniture here, and a black Japanese pine tree. Now if these were a darker color of the Azula, that would be amazing, not gonna lie. And then some foxgloves in the corner as well, and the rest is just bushes and some flowering, let's say treasure flower. And you don't know what that is like a flowering ground cover that usually spreads, and a lot of insects will be in them, such as snails. So if you love that, then I highly recommend that type of plant. And then the next section will be this one, and now at first I wasn't going to have anything here besides the moss and the grass, of course, but then I was thinking that it needed a HVAC compliance here on the roof, so I might as well just furnish it. So I'll place more of the flowering quince and more furniture here, and some small ficus trees and foxgloves on the corner here. And then I made it a pathway with using the mossy cobblestone as like grass patches going through the rock, and then of course added a door here. And then this is like one of my favorite spots in this whole build, to be honest. This wasn't part of my sketch, although this part over here was part of my sketch later on. So this whole part is all just using my head and just going with the flow. Just imagine them as daylilies and Indian hawthorn they supposed to be. And of course place some more Japanese maple trees here, and then more flowering quinces and more tree bushes. And these are western redbuds, but I heard the east coast is a little bit prettier than the west coast in terms of when it flowers in the spring or early spring actually. And then place some more hydrangeas in the back and more flowering quince, and then just imagine these as more of the Indian hawthorn matching with the foxgloves. These roses are supposed to be red salvias, and as you can see I try to blend colors as they match together. So red and pink match really well together with some dark green leaves to make it more stand out. And then the other side will have some more tulips and torch flower seeds as succulents mostly, and then the grasses are daylilies as well, and another little section here just to sit around with some evergreen trees. I'll probably put a picture, for example, of them where they're supposed to be. And yeah, I think this is like one of my favorite spots of the city, plus the beautiful skyline. And of course you can't see too much because I figured out why it was so laggy in the last video, and it's because I had my render distance way too high, so I had to lower it to like 10 chunks I believe, or 20 chunks, and now the recording should be smooth for you guys, so I highly apologize for that. That's the building I made in the last video. If you guys haven't watched it, I do recommend you checking it out. One of my proudest builds, and I think you'd be very interested in it. And then the next one, this little furniture outpost. I know it's kind of a lot on a single building, but the way I see it, like in real life cities, I think it's fine. They have more lounging chairs and more furniture and some perennial grasses and more small trees, and look at what these supposed to be. Maybe you guys could figure out what they're supposed to be though. And this view is actually pretty good. If you look more here, there's a park down there and the skyscrapers I made in a couple of videos back. If you haven't watched it yet, then click on the top right. And very last one is the very top, and I mentioned this before in the beginning of the video. I sketched out this whole area of what it's going to be like, and I did make some minor changes to it since everything I sketched it did not go as planned, but most of it made in. It just adding this as the main center was difficult. Nonetheless, having enough room in between each side, and then some more furniture, and of course adding some red crepe myrtles or myrtle crepe trees, some lamb ears bushes, just imagine that, and then some marigolds as well, white spirea bushes or shrubs. I think these are a snapdragon, but it goes with the color scheme of red, white, greenish, and yellow as well. So these supposed to match with the trees, Yellow matches with the flowers over here too, and the spirea goes with the lamb ears. And I did the same thing on the other side too. And these are English ivy that is growing all throughout the gazebo or trellis, same difference. I changed the whole roof to packed mud, which I will weather it a little bit later. And then some andesite for extra seating, of course. And then decided to add more solar panels, because why not? And so for the interior, I'm just going a little brief on it. Each section is a little different to how you go up. Of course, the shape of the building and how it is. But of course, you guys seen the time lapse, so you know how much a struggle it was. Completely love it, especially the glass facade I did. Now, at first, I didn't like the way I did it the first time, but when doing this type of method, we're having the light stained glass as the actual windows, and then the cyan as the facade with it, then the white stained glass, like kind of like pillars you would see for office buildings, and then the trapdoors as the separation between the floors, and it works out really well. Now at first it was going to be like this, as I'm showing you here, but I didn't like that, and I didn't like the gaps it leaves behind, so I decided to have it in front of the glass panes. And at first I didn't like it because the gaps here it shows, but the more I look at it, yeah, it's definitely worth it, and I do recommend using that type of method for glass residential buildings especially, or office buildings of course. And I tried looking on YouTube, Pinterest and whatnot, and apparently nobody has a method on doing them in default, so that was frustrating to do because every server that I know uses a texture pack. And although I don't have no hate against it, I have used texture packs in the past or resource packs. Sometimes doing a default is a little bit better because it takes more skill to build something that's, I mean, you would have more resource pack or a texture pack, but in default you're just doing it what the game has and all that good stuff. So this is my way of doing it, and if you guys like it, then there you go. I just gave you a good method how to do glass facades for a residential building. And then the next thing I was struggling about, and take my word for it, is the color scheme. I knew that this part, which was pink wool, was going to be dark oak, so that was plain simple, but which parts would be dark oak was the most hardest part, especially the other colors such as where the bone block is and the quartz. Well, I knew the quartz was going to be white, but what would match with it with the dark oak and the quartz was a struggle. And I kept trying some new color schemes and looking at some references on Google Earth, and usually what I learned is that try to keep it at 3 colors at maximum as best as possible, but you can add more to it. You just gotta get creative about it or minimize as possible. Like this building for example, it has multiple colors, blue and yellow, but it's very minimum, so it's not really noticeable unless you really pay close attention to it, and that's what I did here. So the bone block matches with the quartz and is a light color or more pale color than the quartz, and then the dark oak matches with the bone block sort of with the quartz inside separating the floors. And then I changed the stone to sandstone because it goes with the color a lot better than beforehand, and so a lot better than the stone. Now at first I didn't want to do sandstone because I already have a lot of sandstones around this area, but since we don't have sandstone brick, which would be very nice to have, this was my second best option. Now I could have done end stone, but I think that would have been too yellow. I don't think it would fit the color scheme that well, but give me your thoughts about it if you agree or disagree. And everything here, I pretty much kept it how it is. Besides the lobby, I had to do some minor changes and rerouting, but everything's still the same. It's just me just adding another staircase to the parking garage. Was a pain to do because I didn't feel like doing extra floors, but Mellow moderators suggested that I should add 2 more floors, and so I decided just to suck it up and do it, and I got it done pretty quickly. I think it took me all the way to like past midnight just to finish all of it, and then I got too tired, and yeah. And then Mellow also did over here, and then I decided to add a laundry room, and that was Mellow's idea. for the building, since it is a apartment slash hotel slash condo, all that good stuff. So thank you, Mel, for that suggestion. And then built the balconies here as well from the main reference of the dark oak building that I posted a while back, but I posted again here. And yeah, now it's time for one more thing. Alright, since the shares are now on, now you can see how it looks like. And I'm not sure you guys noticed in the sketchbook, but every light position of this building. So right now, this is noon. As I predicted it, it shows that most of the sunlight is coming through here. The recording might be laggy. I'm sorry about that. I just make this quick, but I think flashback would be fine. As you can see in shaders, looks great. All the parts here are sunshine, and especially the middle parts over here, which is such a difference between now and 2 years ago of how the building used to look like. Quite the improvement, and I have learned a lot. But anyways, let's get back to the shaders part. So this is noon, so this is afternoon, and as I predicted it, the sun shines over here. From the left to the right shines the main facade part as well, officially. And the last one will be morning, and this is where I think the most sunlight the building gets besides the afternoon. And it turned out really great. I mean, I love it. Not sure about you guys, but if you do, then let me know down below in the comment section. I have to say, this is like one of my bestest builds with interior, and I usually don't do it for residential buildings, but for this purpose, how ugly the building was beforehand, I'll say it's worth it. So yeah, enough with the shaders because it's lagging my recording. So I hope you guys enjoyed this amazing time-lapse video. If you guys like it, then I will do more. And tell me your thoughts on which platform you like the most. Is it this one? Is it the second one behind me, or the third one there, and the one behind the building as well? 1 through 4. Give me your best thoughts on the landscape and the building in general, but I'll let you guys explore the inside if you choose to come here and check it out for yourselves. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hit that like and subscribe to me if you choose to. It's up to you, and I will continue to make more of this type of content if you guys enjoyed it. And if you want to join our empire, then join our Discord server, and I would love to see you guys cities and landscaping techniques. But anyways, you guys have a great day. Later, comrades.